All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unravel a 13th century mystery that has quite literally baffled scholars for hundreds of years. We're talking about a legendary medieval scientist, secret codes, and a hidden message that absolutely changes everything we thought we knew about history's most cryptic text. You know, for centuries, people have looked at the densely packed, bizarrely illustrated pages of the so-called voynich manuscript and seen this unbreakable, almost alien cipher. But what if the manuscript was actually a desperate confession? Today, we're stripping away the myths. We're going to look right over the shoulder of the actual man behind the ink and discover that the world's most famous unsolvable puzzle was really born out of sheer terror.
Section 1. The Wizard's Uncracked Cipher.
Okay, so to understand the secret, we really have to understand the man. Michael Scott was a brilliant 13th century mathematician, a physician, and an astrologer at the truly magnificent court of the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II. But here's the crazy part. Despite introducing translated Arabic works to Europe, people genuinely thought he was a wizard. I mean, Dante Alighieri himself placed Scott in the 8th circle of hell in his epic poem, The Inferno, right alongside sorcerers and false prophets. And honestly, this supernatural myth just became the lens through which all of his surviving work was viewed. And that magical myth totally warped our reality. For generations, scholars looked at the strange symbols in the manuscript, like that really prominent 8 glyph, and just assumed they were magical seals, right? Or some intricate alchemical cipher designed to be completely unbreakable. But what if the reality of the ink on the page was entirely different? What if we had actually been looking at a highly technical document called the Johnson-Voynich Laboratory Manual? Section 2. The Alchemy Layer. So, the foundational cracking of this cipher relies on a super simple yet absolutely brilliant physical manipulation. When you take the manuscript and literally rotate the text 180 degrees, the whole illusion just breaks. That mysterious 8 glyph, yeah, it's not a magical seal at all. It is actually just the English apothecary command for druck, which is the primary unit of weight used in medicine. Once you apply that 180-degree rotation, an entire operational glossary emerges. It translates into direct English laboratory instructions. 4P is a scruple, acting as a process valve. 8AW means stasis, the wait time required for a chemical rest. 8AM is maceration, which is the soaking of raw botanicals. And 8V is the refined extract. This incredibly loud, highly technical layer outlines plant processing and laboratory wait times for seriously toxic substances like nightshade. So definitely not your average weekend gardening project. But it gets even more technical than that. The number 1.16 is the actual key to the biological section of the manuscript, the parts showing all those complex pipes and tubs. It represents the 1.16-bit entropy deficit. Now, this is the exact calculation for the physical mass lost to evaporation and waste during the alchemical extraction process. You literally subtract this 1.16 factor from the raw weight to calculate the safe, final medical dosage. It is pure, rigorous 13th century science. Section 3. The Triple Filter Protocol. All right, here is where the story shifts into an absolute investigative thrill, because as brilliant as that apothecary layer is, it's actually just a decoy. The technical alchemy, the 180-degree rotations, the extraction weights, all of it was this brilliant cryptographic distraction designed to hide a much deeper and honestly far more dangerous secret. To find that secret, we have to use the Triple Filter Protocol. Just imagine Michael Scott in a dark, candlelit laboratory, right? First, you hold the page up to a mirror. Second, completely remove all those loud technical markers we just talked about. And third, read the remaining text from the bottom of the page, moving upwards and sound it out phonetically. Section 4. A phonetic Old English diary. So when you actually apply that triple filter protocol, you realize the hidden layer isn't an alien language at all. It is literally just English sounds wearing the disguise of foreign Arabic and runic shapes. He was writing a personal diary in phonetic Old English. Let me show you exactly how this transcription works. When you isolate the runic and Arabic hybrid characters at the very bottom right of the page, apply the mirror, and strip away that loud apothecary noise, you get this phonetic word, what. Now, phonetically, what sounds exactly like our word what, but in Old English, it is the classic invocation meaning listen or behold. By removing those loud laboratory instructions, Michael Scott's quiet, deeply personal voice is finally allowed to speak to us across 8 centuries. And guys, what he says is just breathtaking. He directly addresses the reader who has the eyes to turn the page against the glass, meaning the mirror.
He writes that the weight of the metals is actually a burden of the spirit. He takes that highly technical 1.16-bit entropy deficit and calls it the gap in the breath, the exact place where the soul enters matter. He wasn't just some greedy alchemist trying to make state gold for the emperor. He saw the wetware, the human mind trapped in the heavy metal.
Section 5. I am no devil. So you really have to ask, why did a brilliant royal physician and mathematician need to build a multi-layered, visually disorienting, triple-filtered puzzle just to write down his own thoughts? Well, the answer is profound human terror. This dense phonetic bridge shielded a scientist who was quite literally terrified of being burned at the stake. Translating Averroes and exploring Eastern sciences had already put him squarely in the crosshairs of the church. He had to hide his true humanity and his spiritual philosophies behind the technical jargon of the apothecary manual, basically ensuring only a kindred spirit would ever look in the mirror to find him.
In the spaces where the technical glyphs are the most dense, once the noise is completely removed, his ultimate hushed defense appears in phonetic Old English. Ich neom de vovel, ich own man.
I am no devil. I am a man. Just let that 800-year-old confession sink in for a second. It's not a magical spell. It's the desperate plea of a genius who was entirely misunderstood by his own era, begging the future to see him for who he truly was. I mean, really think about what this means for us. History's most cryptic cipher wasn't an alien transmission. It was a bridge between rigorous science and desperate human survival. If Michael Scott could hide the very essence of his humanity within a pharmaceutical flowchart, it leaves us with one massive, lingering question. What other human truths are quietly waiting to be decoded in the spaces between the numbers of history? Thank you so much for exploring this hidden narrative with me today.